Welcome to Fellowship at Home. We are so glad to be with you today. My name is Pastor Angela, and I'm honored to serve as a pastor here on staff. And I am joined by Pastor Michael, who's wearing some sweet swag.
That's
am. Really nice.
Yeah. I'm wearing this sweatshirt that comes from the series. We just want to be honest with you. We made these as props. We didn't have any intent to sell these, and we've got an insane amount of feedback and inquiry into, hey, can I get one of those? We just want to say, stay tuned. We're working on something. We didn't get in the church business to be, merchandise, salespeople.
Totally.
So we're just trying to figure it out, but we're very flattered by how much a lot of you love these sweatshirts.
That's right. And like Michael's shirt says, we are Fellowship. We are a gospel-centered, multi-ethnic, intergenerational church, and we exist to make disciples.
That's right. And discipleship for us during this season has looked like this series, A Different World. This series really is about us learning what it looks like to live in this world that we find ourselves in, that we never thought we would be in. Pastor Albert's done an incredible job of just calling us to these just timeless rhythms and practices and disciplines that we see in Jesus's life. So it's been such a great series together, and what that's really looked like for all of us is this 8-week challenge.
That's right. This 8-week challenge is really our opportunity as a church to give integrity to the fact that we say we make disciples, right? And it's an opportunity for us as believers to practice really what we say our faith is. We want to grow in a life of worship. And so, like, for example, I love my Peloton, right? I love my Peloton. When I got it, I was not that strong. I really wasn't that good. I was only doing like 10, 15-minute classes. And as I continued to practice, moving on and on and on, I got stronger and stronger and was able to add more. That's the objective of this 8-week challenge. It's not meant to only last the 8 weeks. It's meant to introduce you to different ways to practice your faith so that you as a follower of Jesus can continue to grow stronger and stronger in your faith. We believe in you, Fellowship. We believe that God has something really special in store for you as you learn to practice your faith. So we hope that you can engage with us, check out the website, and learn how you can join in the 8-week challenge.
That's right. And we're also, we say this every week, we're a multi-ethnic church. And Angela, you and I have the honor and privilege of serving in our Center for Racial Rec. And do you want to tell us a little bit about what we're doing, what's going on?
Yeah. All month long, our center has been telling the stories from National Hispanic Heritage Month. It's been a beautiful opportunity to hear from our Latino and Latina brothers and sisters right here in our congregation and in our community. So we encourage you, if you're looking for new ways to engage with us and really figuring out what do we mean when we say we want to embody being a multi-ethnic church, check out our center on Instagram, on the website. They've got events coming up, and we are so excited to be able to have you experience a fuller expression of the gospel by engaging with our Center for Racial Reconciliation.
That's right. We're also an intergenerational church, and I can't imagine a more intergenerational event than the one that we have coming up on October 30th. This will be our second annual trunk or treat. We did it last year. I think it was one of the highlights of my year because it was like everything was so shut down. We got to come out and just throw a party on behalf of the city. So this is just an all-church event. We're all going to be there. It's Saturday, October 30th from 10 a.m. to 12. So a good time for the kids. And here's our invitation to you. If you want to donate candy to us, we need candy. If you want to volunteer and be a part of that day, we need volunteers. And here's a really specific way that you and your family can get involved. We need people to show up, open their trunks up, and have a whole themed station. Last year we had Jurassic Park. We had Candyland. Me and my wife were lumberjacks. It didn't take too much, but it worked. But here's the deal. We need 32 of those families or those people that have trunks, and the best station, the best trunk wins a prize.
Who doesn't like winning?
There's a prize in there for you.
I love winning.
So sign up, come October 30th, 10 to 12, Monrovia High School. It's an all-church event. It will be a really good time.
That's right. Speaking of a good time, we are excited to be able to worship together, to be able to engage with God in spirit and in truth. So Fellowship, at this time, we invite you to stand up wherever you are, whether you're watching with us on Sunday morning or engaging with us on demand. Stand up, clap your hands. Let's worship to God together. Fellowship, let's join together.
Hey, meet us, Lord, wherever you are. Feels so good to be with you, God, yeah. Meet us, Lord, hey, wherever you're at, sing it out. He's coming on the clouds. Kings and kingdoms will bow down. Yeah. And every chain will break as broken hearts declare his praise. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? You say, our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting a battle. Every knee will bow. Yes, Lord. Our God is the Lamb, the Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks your blood breaks the chains. Every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Every knee will bow before you. You're so good. It's the way you lay us beside still waters, God. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fill our homes today, Lord. Oh, so open up the gates, make way before the King of Kings, yeah. Hey, the God who comes to save is here to set the captives free. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Nobody can stop him. Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting on every knee will bow before him. And our God is the Lamb that was slain for you and me. For the sins of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Every knee will bow before him. And we say, declare it, who can stop the Lord Almighty? Yeah. Who can stop the Lord Almighty in your house? Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Hey, yeah. Who can stop? Sometimes you gotta declare the word in your home. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Oh, yeah. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? We won't let depression sit right here. We won't let depression sit right here because you're glorious. Who can stop the Lord? Hey, 'cause our God, yeah. Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting on every knee will bow before him. And our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Hey, every knee will bow before him. Hey, fill our home as we fill your house, God. Yeah. Oh, let this be our sanctuary. Yeah. You're so good. Yeah. You're so good, Lord. All we want is your presence in this place. All we want is your presence. So we lay it all down so that we can focus on you. Sometimes it's not easy, but we choose to focus it all on you, on the one that matters most. The one that matters most, Lord. Caught up in your presence, yeah. I just want to sit here at your feet, yeah. I'm caught up in this holy moment. Never want to leave. Oh, and I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything, no, more than anything that you can do, God. I just want you. Can we sing that? Caught up, sing it out. Caught up in your presence. I just want to be there.
I just want to sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment.
I never want to leave.
Never want to leave.
Just want to be where you are, Lord. And I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, Jesus, you don't, no, more than anything that
You can do.
just want you.
I just want you.
Sometimes we got to create an altar wherever we are and say, I'm sorry. Sing it out.
I'm sorry.
When I've just gone through the motions, yeah. When I just sing another song, take me back to where I open
Up my
my heart to you. Oh, and I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're enough. Take me back to
where we
I open my heart. I open up my heart to you. Sing it again. I'm caught up in your presence. Yeah.
I just want to sit here.
Sit here. I'm caught up in this holy. I never want to leave your presence, Lord. You're the most important thing today, and I'm not here, no.
I'm not here for blessings.
Jesus, you don't know.
Jesus, you don't know.
You don't owe me anything more than anything.
More than anything that
And we declare, I just want you.
I just want you.
Let's sing this last part together. You're the one that really matters. Tell them, you're the one that really matters. Say it. You're the one that really matters. You're the one that really matters. Sing it out wherever you are.
You're the one that really matters.
Sometimes you gotta set priorities.
You're
Oh,
the
yeah.
one that really matters.
Put things in order. Put things where they need to be.
You're
Yeah.
the one that really matters.
You're the one that really matters.
You're the one that really matters.
Sing that other part. And I can't.
And I can't help but scream about the way that you moved in. Chaotic love
Hey,
has left me
so So good to see everybody. What's going on? Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to have you guys. Hey, we are so excited. We're continuing in our series, A Different World, where we recognize that as followers of Jesus Christ, this world is not our home. We are in this world, but we are not of this world. We different. And God calls us to then live out values that helps us to sustain our identity in a different world, and with those values become a practice. So we've been talking about what does it mean for us to not just be a people of faith, but a people of intentional practice. How do we practice our faith? So we've been doing great. We've been in this challenge. If you want to join us, because we've been just introducing some practices to some of us. Studying God's Word is where we've been. We're going to introduce some new practices this week. Follow us at madeforfellowship.com. Go on there. They have all the information. Just look for an 8-week challenge. It'll be on there. Follow us so we can journey together. Today, I want to start with talking about compliments. What's anybody not like compliments? Anybody not like getting them? Some of us are a little awkward when we get complimented. We don't know how to take it. We don't know how to deal with it. But I like a good compliment. What's one of the best compliments you've ever received? Anybody got it? What's one of the best compliments you've ever received when you was like, that's a good compliment? What?
Someone told me I look like Chrissy Teigen.
Somebody said you look like Chrissy Teigen? Oh, is that somebody? That's somebody's wife, right? John Legend's wife. Yes. As long as you don't sound like her on Twitter going off and fighting with everybody. I don't even know what she be saying, but I just know she is a Twitter warrior on Twitter. Anybody else? What's a compliment? Yeah.
You look younger than you are.
You look younger than you are. I think that's hands down one of the best compliments that you could ever get. Unfortunately, my wife looks so much younger than I. She gets that compliment all the time, and I never get it. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of people where I don't even want to talk about them asking her if I was her daddy. And then I was like, I was offended, but I was like, yes, I am your daddy. Say, who your daddy? I'm your daddy. I'm your daddy. Which she didn't like that either. So, but imagine getting great compliments from people. Now imagine getting a great compliment from God. What would you want that compliment to be? Like when I think about God handing out compliments to people, it's pretty unique. But in 1 Samuel, we see he does it with David when he talks about David, who's the king of Israel, but in the beginning was just a shepherd boy. He says of David this compliment. Listen to this compliment. He was a man after my own heart. Oh, can you imagine God? That's the kind of compliment I want. Not that I look like my wife's father. No, I want a compliment like that. Like, imagine how beautiful, how powerful. Yet, when we look at David's life, I think it's pretty appropriate to say David was a hot mess. You would think that a compliment like that comes with a lifestyle that's really just perfect. You think he's like this Mother Teresa figure that's just perfect without flaws. No, homeboy was jacked up, toe up from the flow up, messed up. You know what I mean? Like he was a hot mess. But God said, but he was after my heart. But he was after my heart. So when you receive a compliment like that, you look at that person, which is David, and you say, all right, whenever David says something, I want to listen to it. I want to pay attention to it, because obviously this guy has a connection with God that is worthy of duplication. Like I can learn something from here. So in Psalm 27, verse 4, when David says this, one thing I ask from the Lord. Hold on, let me grab a pen and paper. Like, if David says that, this is the guy that God said he's a man after my own heart. And he says, out of all the things I asked the Lord for, that was one thing. Whoa, hold on. Let me say this one thing. Like, it's like talking to Oprah. And she was like, Oprah, with your billions, what's the lesson? She was like, now listen, if there was one thing I learned about being a billionaire, it's like, oh, hold on. Let me write that down. You know what I mean? It's like, let me get that. If it's somebody that can cook really good, it's like, oh, that's one thing you need to know about my recipe. You're going to grab that one thing. This guy is about to say, there's one thing that I ask from the Lord. Out of all the things, with the compliment that he's given me and who I am in him, This is how my heart works. This is the one thing I ask for. We should all perk up and we should listen. Our curiosity should be piqued and we should hear what David says, and we should hear it through the lens of who David is. I said we should hear what David says, and we should hear it through the lens of who David is. This is a guy who's complimented by God. So let's listen to what he says. One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all my days, all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. Now, we referenced this passage last week, and I think it's worthy of note to come back to shape up and frame up this conversation that I want to have this week. David says, one thing that I ask of the Lord, one thing that I desire from the Lord, one translation says, and that will I seek. It's the seek for me. It's the seek for me. The seek is the way, it's the idea of, and that will I practice. That will I put into action. That will I go after and I will pursue. I think a lot of us got a lot of values and we desire things from the Lord, but we don't seek them. We don't pursue them. It doesn't become a practice. It needs to translate into an actual practice. I believe that. Now, how do I believe that? How does that show up in my livelihood? Because if I believe it but don't believe it, then I don't believe it. So how does it show up in how I live? David says, I'm going to go after the Lord's beauty, and I'm going to desire it, first of all, because I got to get my heart right to where I desire it. We can't skip over that. I talked about that last week, but the desire is a really big deal. Now that I desire it, here's my strategy for going after it. Here's my practice for going after it. I'm going to seek it. Friends, today I want to talk about us desiring to live whole lives of worship. My whole life, I want it to be centered on God. My desire, I want it to be about God. My whole life growing in a life of worship. That's the value that we talked about last week. This week, how do we honor the phrase, and that will I seek? And that will I practice. One of the practices for enhancing our whole life worship, this idea of our whole life being worship to God, one of the spiritual disciplines to help me be who I desire and say I desire to be, to then bring spiritual formation to my soul, to form my spirit, the formation of my soul and my spirit will require what we call spiritual disciplines. And one of the regular spiritual disciplines, one of the practices of the spiritual discipline is solitude. Solitude. We see this in David's life. That's why I say if David did it, and if it helped him get that compliment from God, I should at least I should consider it. Jesus practiced solitude. David practiced solitude. Solitude is this idea of pulling yourself away and sitting and being with God. Sitting and being with God. In Psalm 91, we see this picture of David, and it gives this image of his commitment to practicing solitude, but it also puts on display the power of what solitude does in our life. Psalm 91, 1 and 2, all of Psalm 91 is just amazing. I could stay here for 52 weeks, but I'm just going to grab the first two verses of this psalm, this prayer that David prays. Psalm 91, 1 says, whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Let's go back to verse 1. Listen to this. Listen to the language. Listen to this. It says, whoever dwells. It's the idea of dwelling. It's the idea of being there. And then he says in the shelter. It's this idea of covering of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. Then listen to this. He says, I will say the Lord, he is my refuge. Refuge is the idea of my hiding place, my safe place, the place where I run off to, my runaway place. He is my refuge. And in that I experience fortress, my covering. I am safe. I am sustained in that place. He is my God. He's in control, and I will trust him. I want you to feel the movement in the text. Feel the movement in the text. There's the idea of shelter. There's the idea of hiding. There's this idea of a secret place. It's my refuge. David was a warman, and in the times of war, he would need refuge. It's a hiding place. He's running away from the enemy. He's running away. He's pulling away. So built into this idea of solitude is the idea of intentionally pulling away. So intentionally pulling away. I like to call it leaving the crowd. Leaving the crowd. Jesus wasn't in physical war, but like David, he would go find refuge. He would pull away and he would leave the crowd. Because while the crowd is in physical war, it does create a sense of tension and war and fight. It's just hard to center your soul in a crowd. It's just hard to do that, because in the busyness, in the movement of life, and in the crowd and in the activity, everything is so loud. The idea of solitude is the idea of leaving the crowd so that you might turn the volume down. Some of us, our life is so loud. Even when you're in a quiet room, in your head it's not quiet. Even when you turn the lights off, tell everybody to go to bed, and you trying to go to sleep, your brain is not quiet. The voices of the world, the activity, the demands, the needs, the anxiety, the frustrations, the responsibilities are all just so loud. And we go throughout the day and it's loud, and we on Instagram and the comparison is loud, and we're in all these spaces and it's loud all over the place. And God is saying, you need solitude. You need spaces to turn the volume down. Some of you are frustrated because I can't hear from God, and I don't know where he is, and I don't know. And it's not that he's not speaking. It's just the volume of the world is so loud you can't hear his soft, still voice. Some of you, the relationship is way loud. You need to turn it down. The bills is so loud. You need to turn it down. The volume of the kids and the needs are so loud. You got to turn it down. What am I going to do after I graduate college? Everybody keeps asking, and I don't know what I want to turn the volume down. The insecurity in my life is so loud, you got to turn it down. There are dials in our mind, in our heart, in our life, in our souls that we got to manage. Because if these dials get out of whack and if the volume gets too high, we'll never hear purpose. We'll never hear destiny, because all we'll hear is the volume of our life. And it's so loud. One of the worst things that can happen is you just get used to the noise. You just get used to the noise, and the noise becomes the soundtrack of your life. And now you're living according to the noise and not living according to the voice of God. Are you living by the noise, or are you living by the voice of God? Or are you trying to intermingle them two at the same time? So God, I'm just trying to get you louder. I'm just trying to get the very louder. Everything's at a high pitch. No, stop trying to turn stuff up and start turning stuff down. Finally answer the age-old question, turn down for what? Turn down so you can hear the glory of the Lord. Amen. He's speaking to you. He's trying to instruct you. Turn down for what? Turn down so you can hear that you are loved. Hear that you are seen. Turn down for what? Turn down so you can hear your worth and your value. Turn down for what? So that you can know and be reminded that you're not a slave, so rest is required. Because you're not a slave anymore. That's why you got to rest. God has brought you out. Solitude is a way of leaving the crowd intentionally. Not begrudgingly or bitterly. Y'all know how we do. We try to get our own deliverance by rebuking other people. That's why I'm leaving, y'all. That's why I'm leaving. People be like, I'm leaving social media and I'm leaving Instagram for the next 6 weeks because it's such a. Yeah, just leave. We don't need all that. Just go. It's like, hey, I'm leaving the house because ain't nobody speak to me and everybody got an attitude and y'all ain't such and such and such. Hey, just go. Ain't nobody ask you all that. Because you're using leaving as a way to try to get some justice. If you want to have a conversation about what's happening here, let's have a conversation. But don't on your way out talk about, and because of this and because of that, no. Leave quietly, please. Just go. We don't need no announcement. Just go. Solitude is permission to just go. You ain't got to talk about all the things. No. Because it needs to be normalized. When you're doing all that announcement and when you're doing all that, that means this ain't normal for you. And you trying to make it, no. Solitude is permission. Just leave. Jesus didn't announce and say, hey, everybody, I know I'm doing miracles and everything. Listen, y'all going to have to wait. That blind man, he going to have to wait. You just sit down and just, y'all just sit down. The guy with this, that can't hear, go over there. Y'all just sit down. Y'all, the guy that can't walk, y'all sit down and all that. Zacchaeus said, y'all, everybody wait. I'm ready to go up in the mountain and be with God. And he going to speak to me, and then I'm going to come back, then I'll deal with y'all. He didn't announce it. He just went. We don't need your announcement. We just need your obedience to go and still away. You ain't got to tell us you've been with God. We can tell. We'll be able to tell. We'll be like, have you seen Sarah? Child, Sarah different. What happened to her? Where's she been? What's been going on with her? She didn't change. Your spouse will be like, what's going on? What's happening? You been what's up? He'd be like, I'm working on it. I can tell, something up. Yeah. It'll be obvious, friends. Solitude is leaving the crowd. I get the intimidation, though. Because solitude, let's just face it, it's the idea of being alone. And some of us are really intimidated and really fearful about being alone. It's something intimidating about the silence for some of us. Turns out the volume in those voices have been working for us in some kind of ways because it's allowed us to ignore some things that have been laying dormant that need attention. Come on in here, somebody. Y'all hear me? When everything's loud, you got a good excuse not to deal with your own attitude and your own bitterness and some of your own ways because you're distracted by the volume of your life. But when the volume gets turned down, then you get to begin to look and reflect and begin to see some things that need to be dealt with. And the fear is that I'm alone. But I want you to look at alone a different kind of way. Instead of looking at the word alone as I'm by myself, look at the word, break it up into two parts. And instead of alone, just think I'm all one. I'm all one. I'm taking time to make sure that all of my life is contextualized in one life of integrity. That I don't have multiple faces in multiple places. That I'm not compartmentalized and I'm this way when I'm a wife, I'm this way when I'm dad, I'm this way when I'm with these folks, I'm this way at church, I'm this way in life group, I'm this way in the twerking group, I'm this way and I got no. Just think this is a time and a place for God to bring you into complete oneness, wholeness, for your whole life with integrity, integrated, for an integrated life to be worship to God. Solitude is the place where he makes you all one. He takes the pieces and makes you all one. He takes the brokenness and makes you all one. He brings integrity to who you are and who you desire to be. Leave the crowd so he can turn the volume down and make you all one. He says, I will say to the Lord, he is my refuge. He is my fortress, my God in whom I trust. if you're going to practice solitude, if you're going to become who God's called you to be, you got to be willing to leave the crowd and you build your secret place. You build your secret place. David just talks about refuge, a secret place, a place where he's still away. And you got to build it. You got to cultivate it. It feels abnormal at first. It feels weird. It feels like I don't know what to do. But as you start to practice it, you'll start to build it. You'll start to build the secret place, your capacity to just sit and be in solitude and experience the power of God. It is the decompressing. It is the slowing down. It is the changing of rhythm that's going to bless your life. Be careful. Ambition can be a dangerous thing. That drive that we all seek to cultivate in these gurus, these life coaches, that's always talking about take new ground, take new territory. You want to win. You want to get your best life. And they're always talking about taking new ground. But there are seasons where it's the idea your ambition and your adrenaline can get you in trouble. So, Pastor, that to get up and to preach, or sometimes to get up and go to work and do a big project and you're tired and you're overworked, you tap your adrenaline gland. And that adrenaline kicks in and it gives you a boost. That's how you can work on a project that you're really excited about and work 24 hours and not even get any sleep. But then the next day you just crash because you tap that adrenaline, then you get up and then you got to hit it again. Well, I think in the pandemic season when things are so hard, I think many of us have gotten used to tapping that adrenaline. So now you're tapping it to get to work. Because what looked like thriving in one season feels like surviving in another season. So I used to tap the adrenaline gland to thrive. Now I'm having to tap it to survive. The problem is it's not an endless supply. You can tap out of that gland and it can run out. Pastor friend every Sunday. And many of us, I do it. That's why he's telling me about it. I tap the adrenaline gland every time I preach. I'm on adrenaline right now. And in a couple of hours, I'm going to pass out and be like, woo, because it's not normal to go at this level with this high level. You just can't run like that where you're just always on. And some of us, maybe you're not a teacher, maybe you're not a preacher, maybe you got projects, maybe you're an engineer, maybe you're a teacher in the classroom, and you're tapping that adrenaline gland to try to get through the day. You're tapping, some of you walk in the house and like, okay, I got to tap it because the kids want to play, the husband want to play, everybody want to play, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, let me tap that adrenaline, let me come up. Right. We're not designed to run like that, y'all. Right. We're not made to run like that. And what this pastor friend was telling me is that he hit a wall and his body just shut down and says, no. He couldn't get out of bed one morning. He said the doctor said, you've depleted your adrenaline gland, or whatever the technical language is, and basically he said it's going to take you 2 years to build that back up. It's going to take you 2 years to build that back up. Y'all better stop taking new ground. Watch ambition that's driven by adrenaline. Because instead of taking new ground, there are seasons in God when he takes you underground. Instead of taking new ground, there are seasons in God when he takes you underground. And it is in these private moments of solitude that he meets us in ways unlike he meets us in public places. Let me tell you something. If your best moments with God are public moments in God, you're missing the most powerful moments that are only found in the privacy of his presence. The presence in private spaces. I'm telling you, if your best moments with God was with hundreds and thousands of people in the room, I'm telling you, you got some dates built up. You got some rendezvous ahead of you. Because he says, what I want to do with you and do for you in private pales in comparison with what I do in public. Your greatest development will happen in these private, intimate spaces. In these private, intimate spaces. Don't miss these opportunities to be marked by the intimacy of God. By the intimacy of God. When I used to when I used to play Nintendo in the early days, Mario Brothers, y'all know the first screen was like this nice, vibrant screen with mushrooms and turtles and that you hit and they fly and all this other kind of stuff. But then you would go down a tube and then you go down underground and it would be this blue screen. This blue scene. I'll see if we can find some pictures and put them up. This blue scene. And then you go on the blue screen and y'all, the blue screen, it was just different. And it felt weird because it wasn't daylight. It wasn't the main thing. And you're like, am I still a part of the game? Is this an extra part of the game? Am I still keeping points? Am I going to the next board? Or is this another board that I got to go back and forth? Because you almost assume because I'm down and because it's blue, it's not advancing. I'm going to say that again. If y'all get it early, I won't have to preach as long. I said, you almost think if it's down and if it's blue, then I'm not advancing. But you would actually come up and you have advanced in the game. Some of you, just because there's seasons and moments of solitude where you may feel down and the season may be blue, you're still advancing. Woo! Now that'll preach to somebody. That's good news to somebody because you thought the devil had you down and out, down and blue, and you thought it was over for you. And I'm telling you, just because you down, just because it's blue, does not mean you ain't advancing. God is moving you forward in this season. God is advancing you in this season. Know that God is doing something special. Know that God is doing something special. David would say in Psalm 23, he says, he makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. Then what does it say? He restores my soul. Did you see what he had to do to get there though? He had to be made to lie down. Why? Because he was going to get that work done. God says, no, I'm going to make you lie down. And then I'm going to bring you to a place of still water, not running water. You ain't out there surfing. No, it's still water. You know what I'm saying? You ain't water skiing. You ain't out there, because some of us, we just rolling. He's like, no. I'm not, no. I'm bringing you to still water. I'm bringing you to still water. Be still. And in this place, I'm going to restore your soul. What feels like being made to slow down, what feels like less. To be honest, in American culture, it feels like punishment. It feels like a consequence. Some of you are going to miss solitude because you feel like consequence. Because you're so used to abusive relationships, you don't know love when you see it. An invitation to slow down is love, not a consequence. Take your busy bragging self. That's not celebrated in this culture. That's not celebrated in this practice. Y'all know how we be like, oh, I'm so busy. I got this. And people are like, oh, that's impressive. No. That's sad. That's sad. You're so busy, you can't even show up for precious moments to be marked by the creator of the world. That's sad. And I know what it's like to walk in that and to be so busy that you don't even have time to be marked by his presence. The slowing down, the making me lie down, the bringing me beside the still water, it's not a consequence. To be honest, it's a great gift. And we want to practice and receive it. Leave the crowd. Build your secret place. Third and finally, you've got to do this lest you run the risk of being, here it is, overexposed and underdeveloped. Overexposed and underdeveloped. The system needs to develop. Every system needs to develop. When we first started fellowship, I remember starting this church and y'all, we grew so fast. And I talk to church planners all the time. And I'm an entrepreneur in heart and spirit. So we just grew so fast. And we had hundreds and hundreds of people coming. And we were a year old, 6 months old, 3 years old, 4 years old. Had thousands of people coming. But our systems weren't developed. So as a church, we would have great attendance and great people coming, but internally with staff and structures and systems, that thing was just lagging behind. So you wouldn't fill it with the worship team on Sunday or with the sermons or with the space, but throughout the week when you try to get connected, there'll be big gaps that people could just fall through. Follow-up wasn't like it needed to be. Volunteers weren't developed like they should be. We did all right and God was faithful, but I'm just telling you, it's 10 years, we're still trying to get our systems to catch up. And y'all, what I learned is all growth ain't good growth.
That's for sure.
Some growth is too fast, it's too quick, it's too much. And it leaves a gap with the systems, and it undermines the thing that you're trying to do. Just because you got a good product, just because you're good at something, doesn't mean that you're, I guess what I'm trying to say is what will happen is your gifts will put you at a level that your character can't sustain you at. Raising Cane's. My family loves Raising Cane's. They got some good chicken. It's right up the street from my house. Raising Cane's. They got some of the best chicken, some of the best bread. The bread got butter on it. And then they got sweet tea, Southern sweet tea. The sweet tea is amazing. They got great. The food is great at Raising Cane's. We never go. We never go. You know why? Because the line is always around the block. And the line moves slow. And they got a great product, but a terrible system. And here's the thing. This is why I know it's a system thing. Because they go, well, they just high demand. People just love it. No. People need to love it, but people need to also get access to it. Because I love it, but I'm not willing to sit in line for an hour for that. Especially when it's supposed to be fast food. You know what I'm saying? Now, Chick-fil-A is right around the corner, and Chick-fil-A got lines too. We get Chick-fil-A all the time. Why? Because that line in Chick-fil-A moved just like that. Baby, let me tell you, they got folks out there on headphone sets and computers, and you round the corner on another street and they say, hey, let me go and get your order now so it can be ready. They out there working, and although the line is long, it don't take long. Although the line is long, it don't take long because they got a problem. And it ain't like Raising Cane, it ain't like they cooking 10 things. They just cooking chicken. It's the same chicken. It's just different amounts. You just got to say, I want 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they just got to put the same chicken. There's no reason why it should take that long. Now, no disrespect to Raising Cane. I'll be back when y'all get the line shorter. But in the meantime, if you're looking for me, I'm in the Chick-fil-A line with them. Take my order. Yeah, go and get it. Like, it's right there. Why? Because they've developed a system to match their product, the demand of their product. I guess my point is if systems need to be developed, so does your soul. And some of us got great gifts, great product. We can show up in spaces, but our character is lagging. Our soul's development is lagging. Overexposed, but underdeveloped. And here's the thing about our souls. Most of its development happens in obscurity. A lot of our soul's development happen in obscurity. It's perspective. And some of you, what feels like punishment or what feels like a burial is just the planting. Think about a seed. It's not being buried. It's just being planted. It's got to have a season of obscurity for it to germinate and become what it's intended to become, and for it to produce what it's intended to produce. Don't be afraid of the solitude. Don't be afraid of the stillness. Don't be afraid of the darkness. Yeah, there's seasons that'll feel darker than others. Let's just tell the truth. But don't be afraid of it. Sometimes he'll shrink your circle because everybody can't go where you're about to go. So sometimes you may look at me like, my friends, what happened to them? If people are leaving, let them leave. Right. Amen. Because do you really want folks in your circle you had to beg to stay? No. True. Like let the Lord do his work. I got to hurry to a close. Friend of mine tells a story of back in the 90s and the 80s. Y'all remember when you just take pictures and we had to wait till we could see them? You actually had to go to the store and have them actually developed, and then you come back and you look at them. Well, the lady's looking at the pictures with her kids, and she's looking at them, and her son spills coffee on the picture and destroys the picture. And he's devastated because he thinks, oh, Lord, I'm in trouble. My mama going to kill me. But she says, baby, don't worry about it. I got the negatives. Y'all remember negatives? Yeah. You had a whole little stack of brown little film strips, and they tucked them in the envelope. Now, most of the time you never paid attention to it, but if you ever got in trouble and need that picture again, you just take the negative. Yeah. And what you do is you take the negative, but the negative is developed in what they call a dark room. And they put the negative in the dark room, and from the dark room, the picture is then developed from the negative. Y'all get it early. I can go on and wrap this thing up. God will take your negative and in solitude bring it to a dark room, and he'll develop it. And you'll become the picture of who he always intended you to be. Whole life worship. Full worship, your whole life. So don't be afraid to bring your negatives into a dark room of solitude, because it is there where Jesus will develop you in obscurity for his glory. Amen.
Nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else, Jesus, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want nothing else. Sing it out. Nothing else, oh, nothing else. We trust you, God. Oh, nothing else can satisfy. Nothing else can satisfy. Nothing else will do. No, we just want you. We say, Lord, nothing else. We declare nothing else. Nothing else will do. Let the word still in our hearts, God. We say nothing, nothing, nothing. We say nothing, nothing, nothing. Nothing else will do. We just want you.
God, that's our prayer, that nothing else would satisfy us like you can. Nothing else can fill us, Lord God. No one else can. We've tried, Lord. We've looked and we've searched and we find ourselves wanting. And so right now, Holy Spirit, would you do what you do best, which is satisfy our souls, God. Those of us who are thirsty, would you bring us water? Those of us who are hungry, would you continue to be our daily bread? Holy Spirit, would you meet us now? We thank you for that rich word that we just heard. And we ask, God, that you would bring it to the forefront of our minds as we journey throughout the rest of our week. Lord, we love you so much. And we just pray that you would seal this in our hearts so that we can continue to look more and more like you and bring you glory. In Jesus' name we pray these things. Amen.
Amen.
Fellowship, we just want you to know that we are here for you. Whether it is that you something in you was stirred as you were listening to that sermon, and maybe you say, I really need to talk to somebody. We've got counselors, we've got pastors, we have incredible chaplains, people who are ready and so willing to receive you and all that you bring and all that you carry. There's nothing that's too much. You are not too much. We love being able to serve you. So please reach out to us today if you need help in any way.
Yeah, Fellowship, we're here for you, and we also want to invite you to more. And we invite you to more through two questions. The first question is, who are you doing life with? And that really is saying, we see you and we don't want you to do this alone. We're not created to do life alone. We're not created to seek after Jesus or seek after truth or follow Jesus and be a disciple of Jesus alone. We're created to do that in community. So the more that we're inviting you into is our groups. We have connect groups that are open on a weekly basis, and you can get into the life of our church and get into community now and not walk alone on your journey. journey. And the second question we ask is, where are you serving? And what we're really saying here is we believe that God has created you for more than consumption, that He's given you gifts, that He's given you talents, that He's given you passions, and we want to see those come to bear on our community of faith and come alive in our church. So we have so many opportunities that you can join us and serve and find yourself coming more alive as you live this life, and not just showing up to receive, but showing up to give your life away on mission. So we invite you to more fellowship. And as we invite you to more, we also invite you to worship in a very specific way with us this week. We say this all the time, that our giving, our tithing is an act of worship. Everything that we have is not our own. We are stewards of everything that God's given to us. And so we just want to invite you to give and to make sure that we're making that a part of our habits and our practices and our worship. And we just want to say, if this ministry has blessed you in any way, shape, or form, we invite you to give so that it can bless somebody else. On a technical note, you can see that there's a different number that we've been using for our text to give. So to all of our text to givers, you can see that new number on the screen, and we invite you to continue in this act of worship and giving.
That's right. And fellowship, we want you to stay connected to us, and we want to stay connected to you. And we also want you to stay connected to your community. So if there's somebody that the Lord brought to your mind as you were listening to this sermon, share it with them. Click that share button. Whether you're listening at 9 or 11 on Sunday morning, or you're part of our on-demand family, click share. Share this, and it allows somebody else to be blessed the same way that the Lord has been blessing you. And then check us out on Instagram. There's so many announcements that we have, and there's no way that we could say all the things that are happening in the life of our church in this amount of time. So be sure to check us out on our website, on our socials. We would love to stay connected to you. And with that fellowship, we would love to just bless you as you go. So if you could, just take your hands and put them out in front of you, just in a receiving posture. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make His face to shine upon you and give you so much peace in a time where everything feels like it's swirling. May the Lord give you peace. Fellowship, we love you so much, and we just are so excited to be with you again soon. We'll see you later.